Hey guys, Panzer J back here in operation from Russia with Love. We're up to turn number 16, so 16.4 for Japan, January of 1944. So this is the second to last turn before we do the variable die roll ending to see if the game ends. That occurs next turn on 17. So kind of gonna maybe scramble around a little bit and secure some objectives or at least strengthen up ones that we already have. Not a ton of combat this turn. Again, things are kind of getting down into the end game here. So before we get into Japan 16 on 15, just a minor correction. So I had a complete brain freeze last turn. I had worked the night before, and I think I got maybe like an hour and a half of sleep when I filmed my Japanese turn. So I had said that I was purchasing 2 medium armor, but then depending on how things went with the battle for Sydney, I might change that. Clearly, you cannot, change purchases based on the outcome of a battle. You purchase your units before any combat occurs. So the correction ends up being that those 2 medium armor were purchased and put down in New South Wales. And I think in their place, there were 2 infantry I had placed in New South Wales, a militia maybe in Nanking, and an infantry in Kwang Tung, or I believe. So the bottom line is took off those infantry class units and then put down the 2 medium armor there in New South Wales. Okay, so on to tech roll. So we've got 2 tech rolls. We're sitting at stage 1 for radar, and that takes a 7 or higher. And we're sitting at stage 3 for long-range aircraft, and that's an 8 or higher. So let's go ahead with radar first. And a 7 does succeed, and then long-range aircraft at an 8 or higher. And a 1 misses. So we move up to stage 2 for radar. I was hoping to finish off long-range aircraft, but not to be. Okay, so on to purchases. So I ended the turn with 78, and Global War 36 enthusiasts convoyed me for 4, so that leaves me 74 IPP, and I believe we're spending all of it. So we're going to purchase 3 fighters for 30, a motorized infantry and a militia for 4 each, that's 38. 2 militia for 4, that's 42. 2 militia and 2 militia upgrades for 8, that's 50. 2 mountain infantry for 8, that's 58. 2 infantry for 6, that's 64. And then we're going to repair the damage in both our ports. So Boston Bruce went ahead and damaged the port in Malaya for 5 and the port in the Aleutians for 5. So that 10 combined will bring us up to 74 IPPs. And that is everything. Okay, so on to combat. I think we got 6 combats, but 4 of them are walk-ons. Okay, so down here in South Africa, we're going to have one of these Japanese infantry in Tanganyika move down 1 to Rhodesia and take that. And that's 1 up for Japan and 1 down for UK. Battle number 2 and 3 are over here in Australia. So this naval transport is going to pick up 1 artillery and 1 marine from Sydney and come over 1 and drop the artillery off in South Australia and the marine there in Western Australia. Neither of those territories are worth anything. Battle number 4, another walk-on here in the Northern Territory in Australia. So 1 of our medium armor is going to come up 1 to Queensland and 2 to the Northern Territory and take that. Battle number 5 is going to be here in China. So Boston Bruce has a artillery and an infantry in Shantung. And we're going to come over with our entire force here in Hopei, minus, that's going to all come over 1 to Shantung, minus the militia, which obviously is staying behind, and then the fighter is not participating in this battle. So going into Shantung, we've got a cavalry, 2 medium armor, 2 artillery, 2 motorized infantry. And then battle number 6 is going to be down here in Hunan, these 2 infantry in Nanking are going to come over 1 to Hunan, and then that fighter that was in Hopei is going to come down 1, 2, and attack as well. And those are our 6 combat. So 4 of them are walk-ons. So the first one we need to roll for is there in Shantung. So there is a river, but it's on our side of the border there. So no river, no mountains, so shouldn't be any terrain modifiers. So let's go ahead and grab a dice tray here and come on over. Okay, so we've got, we each have a first strike. So I have 2 first strikes and Bruce has 1. So my 2 first strikes, we had 3 and a 4 and a 7 both miss. And Bruce's first strike at a 3. Of course it hits. Okay, so we're going to lose the cavalry. Okay, so now we've got 2 medium armor at 6s. And a 2 and a 10, so there's 1 hit. And then the 2 motorized were paired with the 2 artillery, so 2 3s. And a 1 and a 10, so we got our 2 hits. Okay, so Bruce's artillery already fired, so his infantry at a 4. And a 10 misses. So we take Shantung back. And we lose a cavalry. So in Shantung is going to be 2 medium armor, 2 motorized, 2 artillery. Okay, our last battle is here in Hunan. So Bruce has a cavalry. I've got 2 infantry and a fighter. Okay, so the fighter at a 6, and a 6 does hit. Let's just roll out the 2 infantry anyways. 2 2s, 10 and a 12 both miss, and then Bruce's cavalry at a 2. Of course, a 2 hits. Okay, so we lose 1 infantry, taking Hunan back. So that is it for combat. So we went up a total of 5. We took 4 off of the KMT and 1 off the UK. So let's go ahead and move that up real quick. So Japan goes from 55 to 60. We knocked the UK. I have them at 22. I'm not sure if that's totally accurate, so they would go to 21. And then we took 4 off the KMT, so they slide down to 3. So that is it for combat. So on to non-combat. So over here, we had the ability to move this transport out of port there before Peter bombed it. So we're going to go ahead and pick up this Marine here on Madagascar, and it's going to come over in the same sea zone and drop that Marine off in Tanganyika. Then we've got our 3 ships down here in C zone. A-54, and that is 2 heavy cruisers and a destroyer, and they're going to come over 1, 2 into C zone I-3 with that naval transport. Over here in C zone I-11, this destroyer is going to pick up the Marine in Siam. And we are at a major base right here in Ceylon. I don't think we need it, but anyways. And it's going to go 1, 2, actually we do, 3, 4, down to I-3. And drop that Marine off in Tanganyika. So let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can reach. Okay, so that's its 4 movements. Then we've got these 3 remaining ships here in I-11. And they're going to come over 1, 2 into P-50. I didn't ask if Global War 36 enthusiast wanted to engage in combat. They're just going to sit in that sea zone. If he does want to go ahead, he can go ahead, go and PBE that. If not, then those 3 ships just move to P-50. Down here in Australia, we've got a torpedo boat destroyer here in P-72. That's going to come over 1 to P-70 to join that naval transport. Then we've got 2 destroyers here in P-72. They're going to pick up the 2 remaining Marines at Sydney and go 1, 2, 3 to C-Zone P61 and drop those 2 Marines off on Java. Then we've got 2 tacticals and a medium bomber here in New South Wales. And they are going to go 1 Queensland, 2 P63, 3 P61, and 4 land on Java. So those 2 tacticals and that medium bomber. Let's see. I guess we'll go ahead and move this medium armor from New South Wales into Sydney. Up here in Southeast Asia, we've got 6 infantry here in Anatonkin, and they're going to move all up 1 to Kwang Tung. We also have, how many infantry here in Siam? 2, 6. So of those 6, 2 are going to rail from Siam to Kwang Tung. 1 is going to move up to Anatonkin. And 1 is going to stay in Siam. And 2 are going to move back to British Malaya. I think that's it in Asia. Up here on the Kuril Islands, so we're going to have this seaplane come 1, 2. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 and land in Kyushu. Let's see, over here in Alaska. So we're going to have, let's see, what do we want to do? We're going to have these 2 heavy battleships, the 2 light carriers and the fleet carrier, and the 2 destroyers are going to pick up 2 of the 4 Marines in Alaska. And all those ships with a movement of 3 are going to come down 1, 2, 3. Drop the 2 Marines off on Hawaii. And all of those ships will be down there off of the Hawaiian Islands. Then we're going to have the 2 Marines in Alaska back off 1 to the Aleutian Islands. We're going to have the 3 remaining ships here in P6, which is a naval transport, a heavy cruiser, and a battleship, go back 1 to P5. And I think that's it over there. Down here, we got our 2 coastal subs. One is going to come from P39 to P40, and the other is going to go from P49 all the way over on this side. And we're going to come out here in P76. And I believe that is it for non-combat. Oh, we got to fly our plane back. So the plane that attacked there in Hunan went a total of 1, 2, 3. It'll fly to Nanking. So that is it for non-combat. So on to unit placement. So we got our 3 fighters. We're placing those in Singapore, or Malaya. We've got a motorized and an artillery, which we're going to place up in Rihe. We got 2 militia, one of which, and we do get another free fortification or coastal artillery for the Pacific buffer zone. So one of the 2 militia and the fortification are going to go here on Guam. The other militia we're going to put in Alaska. Let's see. We got the militia upgrades, and there's already obviously militia in these two territories, so just add an infantry. So an infantry to Midway and an infantry to a 2 in Kiska. We've got 2 mountain infantry we're going to place in Kwangtung. And then 2 regular infantry, and we're placing those in Nanking. And that should be it for unit placement. So before we get into a unit recap, let's go through the income. So we spent all 74. We're sitting at 60. So let's see. I believe we still have all our bonuses. So we still have the 6 territories in China, so that's up to 76. We still have the 3 island dollar territories at 70 or 69, and then we've got the 5 $2 territories: Malaya, Philippines, Hawaii, and Java and Borneo, I believe. But so that's another 10. So that's 79. So we should have 79 IPP to spend as Japan next turn. So let's do a unit recap real quick. So over here in South Africa, we've got an infantry in Rhodesia. In Tanganyika, there are 3 Marines and 2 artillery, plus the Italian units. In C-Zone I-3, we've got a naval transport, 2 heavy cruisers, and 2 destroyers. In Siam and Anatonkin, there's an infantry each. In Cochin China, there's a militia. In C-Zone P50, that port in Singapore is now repaired, and we have 3 naval transports, 2 light cruisers, and a torpedo boat destroyer. In Malaya, we have, 6 infantry, 1 militia, and 3 fighters. On Java, we have 2 Marines, 2 tactical bombers, and a medium bomber. In C-Zone P61, we have 2 destroyers. In C-Zone P70, we've got a torpedo boat destroyer and a naval transport. There's a Marine in Western Australia, an artillery in Southern Australia, a medium armor in the Northern Territory. Sydney has 3 artillery and 1 medium armor. There is a militia and a fortification on Wake and Guam. There's a fortification, a militia, and an infantry on Midway, and a 2 in Kiska. Let's see. In Nanking, we've got a couple of infantry and a fighter. In Shantung, we've got 2 motorized infantry, 2 artillery, and 2 medium armor. Rihi has a militia, 3 artillery, and 3 motorized infantry. Everything else pretty much stayed the same there in China for units. Kwangtung. Kwangtung now has 6 mountain infantry and 9 regular infantry. 6 mountain infantry and 8. Oh my God. 2, 4, 5, 6. So yes, 8. Oh, sorry about that. So 8 regular infantry and 6 mountain infantry in Kwangtung. Hawaii has a militia and 2 Marines. In C-Zone P29, we've got 2 heavy battleships, 2 destroyers, 2 light carriers with a fighter each, a fleet carrier with a tactical and a fighter, 4 fleet submarines, 3 regular battleships, a battle cruiser, 2 heavy cruisers, and a torpedo boat destroyer. Alaska has a militia. The Aleutian Islands have a airborne, a militia, an infantry, 2 Marines, and an air transport. And in P5, we should have a battleship, a heavy cruiser, and a naval transport. So that should be it for Japan here on turn 16. Turning things over now to Global War 36 enthusiast for UK France.